6:30. So I know traffic gets crazy this time of day. So we waited as long as we could, and we'll get rolling. But anyway, my name is Dr. Rinehart. I'm with Principled Living. We are a neurologically based and family-focused health center. I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and we'll get more into that and what that means. But first off, thank you everybody for coming tonight. We really appreciate you showing up and making this possible to get together. And it's really fun to do after 2 years and change of everybody staying 10 feet away from each other and doing nothing like this. I think we're all ready to get out and have some fun like this. But anyway, so cards here, I told you last time, and I did stick to it. I've got the clocks on. They're making the food, and it's coming, whether I finish or not. So this isn't my note card. It's my anti-tangent card, and we're going to keep right on track as much as I can. But the purpose of the dinner, we got 2-3 purposes of doing this dinner with the doc. One of them is those of you who are practice members already. It's a thank you for the opportunity to partner with you in your health. And I say partner because I can't do it all for you. I cannot change the stressors you're experiencing and the toxins in our environment and all that stuff out there. All I can do is help you adapt to them. And that's what we'll get into more. And we'll you ready?
Did I get everybody's order?
I think so. Speak now. All right. All right, they're good. Thank you. So I can't change the stressors that you experience, but I can help you adapt to them. And that's what we do in our office, and that's the essence of what we do and what I'll get into in a little bit here. But thank you, practice members, those of you who are already on care, for the opportunity to partner with you and help you achieve your health goals, whatever it may be, however old you are. We've got infants that are days old to all the way. I say womb to tomb sometimes, not to be morbid about it, but that's true, right? If you're breathing, you've got a nervous system, it's active, it's living, and you have this life flowing through you that we got to take care of it. We gotta do what we can with that temple that we're given. Second thing, though, is those practice members to provide an easy opportunity to invite a guest, invite a neighbor, invite somebody to come along, hear this message that we have, and maybe have me explain it to them more than you can, but keep your job simple because you have an important role in this and in spreading the message of how we can help and how you've been helped. I assume you're seeing value if you're still coming, otherwise you wouldn't. Nobody's pulling teeth. I tell people I'm not a dentist. I don't pull teeth to get people to come. Right? So you're coming if you see some value, and I hope that you can share that and help us achieve our mission, right? Which is, that's the third part. To unite us in our community-based mission, which is right there. Our mission statement is right on the menu there. It's a mouthful, but I designed it specifically. So to improve the stress response, health, and quality of life for as many families as possible with research-proven and gentle neurologically-based chiropractic. So there's like 3 components there, and that's kind of what we focus on. That's what we're about. A mission statement defines a business, defines what they're about, where they're going, where they came from. And there's some really specific things in there that speak to all of us, right? So all of us have experienced stress. All of us want to have health and quality of life, and no matter where we're at, we either need to maintain it or improve it if we're not happy with where it is. In families, we have some sort of family, some sort of community. And then the last part, I tried to address as many of the objections that people come right away as soon as they hear the C word, right? I'm talking about chiropractic, right? So the business, it's Principled Living, and it doesn't say Principled Living Chiropractic because they hear the C word and they're like, oh yeah, quack, bone cracker, I know that. I did that in high school. I walked out, I had a migraine, and they write it off. So I'm coming at it with things that we can already address those objections. Research proven, that's a huge one. People say, oh, it's not scientific, those quacks, There's plenty of research behind it, and this technique specifically, because of how we do it, because of using the instrument, it's an FDA-approved instrument, first one in chiropractic, and we did a placebo-controlled trial. So we have random controlled trial research. If that's what you want, we've got that, right? So we have the research behind it, and not to mention there's plenty of other research that we can piggyback on to prove what we do, but then also gentle. People, I don't blame you. Some people don't want to have their neck popped, cracked, whatever it may be. Don't want to have a stranger touch them on the neck. And I get that. That's fine. We don't have to do that either. So as you're talking to your neighbors, your friends, your family members, just know we're already set up to address some of those objections that maybe they have already shied away from chiropractic from thus far, right? Most people have some idea what chiropractic is. They have some idea that a lot of people get help from it, and they just choose to not experience it because, they had one bad experience or they don't understand it, various reasons. But just know I'm coming at it to try to address those right up front. try to eliminate those barriers to somebody getting the help that they need and that they can benefit from. So anyway, I hope you recognize some familiar faces. I hope you come away from here with some new familiar faces. It's fun to see, people, you come at your time on your day and you have no idea who else is coming, and something changes your schedule and you come at a different time on a different day and you don't notice your neighbor's coming. And so it's really fun to see. I've seen that over and over again, or just old friends reunite. So thank you for being here. So right here, get to the body, get to the meat here. So by show of hands here, and this will be similar to what we did last time, because I gotta rein in the newbies here. But for you who are practice members, you're getting it. We're gonna go a little deeper too and try to give you something to chew on as well. But by show of hands, who here has or is experiencing stress of some sort, right? Get them up, right? I'm calling the morgue. If you don't have your hand up, we got a problem, okay? So we're all experiencing stress, yeah. And we define them, we categorize them as the emotional stress, the chemical stress, and the physical stress. So you name a stressor, it falls neatly into one of those, or it's like a combination of all three. But we're living stress. And like I said at the beginning, I can't change that for you. I can't change how your boss treats you, how your spouse treats you. Can't change any of that. But I can help you respond to that. I can help you have a more healthy, more balanced response to that. And if you're already stuck and traumatized by some stress you've experienced, I can help you bounce out of that. And that's what we do. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But then secondly here, what categories is the United States ranking top in? We'll just throw out some. What ones do you think we rank the top in? Healthcare categories, let's keep it on that. So how about like medication usage? Do you think we're top in the world or towards the bottom? Top, yes, top. How about just healthcare expenditure, right? Top, exactly. How about, just like hospital visits? Here's another one, infant mortality. Where do we rank on that one?
Very high.
Very high, and especially as far as like first world industrialized countries, it's sobering how high we are at infant mortality. Like there's, in my opinion, there's not an excuse for that. We've got the best trauma care, emergency care, all that, yet something's not right here, right? And that's tragic because that little baby didn't get a chance. So we have problems with our healthcare system that need to be addressed. And you don't have to have a medical degree or a chiropractic degree behind your name to do something about it, because you can be part of it. And that's the cool thing, is that you have the power to share your story, share your testimony, and just give more people better information to make better decisions and change that. Because I've maybe said it to you guys, and I'll say it to people, if you like those stats, if you like where we're at as a first world country, you like our healthcare stats, do what everybody else does, and you'll fall right in line with that, right? By age 50, 55, 60, you'll be on a handful of medications. You just do what everybody else is doing. Then you'll be happy, right? If you don't like that, do something different. And you can do as much different as you want, or a little different as you want, but just do something different, because you'll be able to live with that no matter what your future holds. You can say, hey, I did something different. I made an effort to do something different, because you can control that. And I'll talk about that a little bit more as far as the epigenetics and what actually causes disease. But just to send that baseline, we got a problem, but you can be a part of it. And we'll get into that more in a little bit too. So this next part, why are some people healthier than others? That's something I think a lot of people wonder. Not a lot of people get a good answer for it, though. What is it that makes one person healthier than the other? Exercise, that's a big one. Yeah. Eating right. Okay, so we're getting some lifestyle things. Yeah, lifestyle, eating right. Genetics. Okay, that's a big one. Exercise. Okay, so exercise, lifestyle, genetics. Now we got to parse that out a little bit, because the genetics part, we throw that out, and that, in my opinion, I don't know if it's opinion, I think research is very clear that that is overemphasized. The genetics, or let's just say the family history. A lot of people don't know their genetics. They haven't had a gene test, but the family history part is way blown out of proportion. Your medical doctor might look at your dad and your grandpa and be like, oh, they had heart disease. Okay, here's Lipitor and here's your blood pressure medication. Shut up and stay on it the rest of your life, because otherwise you're going to die, right? So they look at your family history and they tell you you're at risk and you're exposed. Well, yes, there is a genetic component. You have the genes of your parents and your grandparents, and that's a part. We have to say, is it 50-50? Is it 90-10? Or is it 10-90? The research is very clear. The genes you got are more like the 10% of your health today. And what everybody else was mentioning, exercise, lifestyle, what you do, that's the 90%. So the term for that is epigenetics. Lifestyle factors is how your genes are expressed based on your lifestyle. That's the 90% factor of your health. The genetics, the hard code, what you got from your parents, that's the 10%. How do they figure that out? Well, they do identical twin studies that tragically those little guys are separated at birth, and they watch, and they've done that enough to see one twin got some different, health, lived in a different family with different exercise habits, and the other twin had the opposite, and they track their health because those two people are the most genetically similar people on the planet, identical twins, and they watch that. They've done it enough to say it's about a 10-90. So genetics you got from your parents, it's real. It's just some factor, you got what you got, right? But the encouraging part is you're in the driver's seat because you got the 90% in your hands. What you do. Do you exercise? Do you eat right? Do you think right? And that's a huge one too. Okay? So if it's our stress response and that's the factor, right? It's our lifestyle is a big, big factor in who are healthy or who are not, who are on a bunch of medications, who are not. That's a big factor. Not everything, and I'll give you that, but it's a big factor, right? So we got to look at how our lifestyle impacts our stress load because we know that chronic stress is not good. And there's two kinds of stress, so we'll dig into this a little bit more. So chronic stress is one, and I'll just tell you, acute stress is the second, okay? What's the difference between acute and chronic? You see it. A bear, okay, yeah, okay. So quick, better react, better go, okay? Then what chronic would be? What's the opposite? Ongoing, long-term, yeah, that's a really good point. So acute is going to be short-term, or at least should be. Short-term, quick, got to go now. Chronic is more the long-term. There's two types of stress response or even like healing response. So you roll your ankle when you're running from a bear or whatever you're doing. And, okay, right? And the key to surviving, right, being chased by a bear is not being faster than the bear. Have you heard this one? Yeah, what do you got to be faster than? Your slowest friend. Yes. So that's maybe it's not funny, but it's like, so you roll your ankle and you have this balloon of an ankle. It swells up. That's acute. In a matter of days, maybe a week or two, that comes down, hopefully, and it resolves. That's acute inflammation. That type of inflammation is not the one that typically is really causing long-term disease because it's short-term, right? Now, chronic inflammation, that's the one that all the studies are on, the research is on, that we're so obsessed with, right? Because they found that that's a common thread to all disease. Time magazine back in 2004 had the big article that inflammation, the number one cause of all disease and all that. So, right? So a lot of the medical research goes after how do we stop chronic inflammation? How do we shut it down? Can we find a new type of medication? That's where like the Vioxx or some of the new anti-inflammatory medications came out a while ago that weren't supposed to hurt your stomach lining, and they ended up swelling the heart and causing problems. But now it's bioelectric medicine, so that's the new thing, right? Put a pacemaker on one of your nerve pathways that will just shut down the inflammation without the problems with your kidney and your stomach and things like that. And that's how they're doing it because they want to get around the side effects. But still, they're just shutting off the inflammation, right? We got to take a step back and like we explained in the office, inflammation is not the bad guy. It's just don't shoot the messenger. Inflammation is nothing more than your body, it's its healing response. And when it's not short, when it doesn't come in, heal you, and then stop or resolve, it becomes chronic. But I look at that as more or less just unresolved healing. So if you've got chronic inflammation in your joints, that over time turns into arthritis. You've got chronic inflammation in your blood vessels, right? That turns into heart disease and sclerosis and possibly the plaquing and different things like that. You don't get heart disease from eating McDonald's one time. You get acute inflammation from McDonald's one time, but that comes up and it should go down. You get the chronic inflammation from the long-term factors there. So the stress response, but what's clear is chronic inflammation it's true. It's a root cause of all disease. Cancer, joint disease, all of this stuff. And it comes from a chronic stress response. So that's the tie there. So if you're chronically stressed, always in that stress response, your body never finishes the healing process. And that's the connection there. So if your brain thinks it's running from a bear all day long, all night long, it's never going to fully heal the muscle, heal the tendon, heal the joint. And that's where we get into a lot of problems there. Okay? So just saying, the research is clear that chronic inflammation is bad, but the avenues to address it are very different. You got medications and surgery and just stop it, shut it up, make it stop. Or what we're going to do in our office is go after the root cause. How can we support your body to heal the tissue, heal whatever problem it is, gut, whatever it may be, so it fully heals and then it goes away. That is resolved healing. That's what the root cause would be. But anyway, how does that work? All of the inflammation, all of the stress response, everything that we're talking about is controlled by one system of your body. And what is that? The spine, yeah, well, the spine protects it. So what's the system? The brain, yeah. So the spine is technically the bones, protects the spinal cord that runs down through the bones, but the brain and the spinal cord, right? That's called the central nervous system. Google it. Central nervous system, the definition will say your brain and spinal cord. So in our office, I treat the spinal cord running through your back. It's no different than the jelly between your ears. Just as important, right? Just as much impact, and it's the tail of your brain. We got to take care of the spinal cord running all the way down to your tailbone as much as we do what's between your ears. And that's where the alignment of your spine is extremely important. I mean, the degeneration in your spine is extremely important. All of that, we have to take care of it. But it's really cool how we have these bones, the spine, that will protect the spinal cord. And you can be a third grader and you kind of step back and you look at the body and how it's designed. And if you're wondering what's the most important part of the body, maybe it's the one that's encased in bone. I don't know, right? All your organs, they've got some ribs, that kind of finger-like ribs that can crack, that can, puncture a lung, and that's all it takes, right? That's all that your lung has, is just some finger-like ribs laying over it. Your spinal cord has vertebrae, spine bones, the spine, and then your brain up here has a skull. So we were designed in a way to protect what's most important. Now, along with that, you got to take care of it. No different than like a knight, or a soldier wearing armor. If the armor is too heavy, it's going to get him killed. If the armor doesn't move, if that joint on the knight's metal armor can't move, it's going to get him killed, right? It's there to protect them, but if they can't move, fight, ride a horse, whatever it may be, it would be more of a detriment than not having any armor on at all. Your spine can become the same thing. If it degenerates enough, it actually creates impingement and problem with the brain running the body. So it comes with a catch-22. We got to take care of it. We can get more into how the nervous system works, but the bottom line is there is a stress response system. In the office, we call it your gas pedal response. It's called the sympathetic response. It's the one that you use when you need to step on the gas and run away from a bear. And that's good. You got that when you're in the gym. You got that when you're in a fight, running away from a bear, whatever it may be. But then the other half is the brake pedal. And that's the one that calms you down. That's the one that we should all have activating here in a few minutes when you want to digest food. If you're having indigestion, you're probably not activating that brake pedal well enough, or you're kind of stuck in the gas pedal response, and that's why you don't really want to digest food. Okay, that's just a simple analogy there. But there's that balance, right? That balance of when you're in the gym, you should be sympathetic, you should be ready to go, your blood should be in your muscles because that's what you want to do. When you're eating now, the blood should come away from your muscles. You don't need it in your bicep and your legs. You need it going to your organs so you can digest your food. And that's just a simple way of how your body needs to come back and balance. Now, if you're able to bounce out of that stress response and heal, your body will be keeping tabs, and things will be healthy. But that's a primary thing that we look at in the office as far as how you're balanced. If your stress response is balanced, or if you're stuck in that stress response. You're stuck with the gas pedal on. Your engine is just revving all the time. You name it, diseases come from that. But there's a way to balance that out, and that's what we look at, and that's what we can address. So anyway, that happens. We agreed that we're all stressed. We agreed that the stress response is really important, and that being chronically in a stress response is no good for anybody. Okay? So then the question becomes, how are you recovering from stress? How are you handling it? And we've got some indicators that we can tell. We can tell if we have a headache or pain or things like that. The problem is just the way we're wired. 90% of our nerve pathways are for life-supporting functions, muscles and organs. Okay? 10%, a measly 10% is for sensory function. Okay? Hot, cold, pressure doesn't save anybody, but it's just important to be able to feel the ground and feel pain, all that kind of stuff. But really, the thing to take away is the 3% rule. On the whiteboard, 3% of your brain is for pain signals. 3. 97 is for something else. 3% is for pain signals. Okay? Not that different than your car. I would argue, I don't know, but 3% of the wires in your car probably go to a check engine light or a dashboard light, right? But there's a million things that can go wrong with your car that you'll never get a warning light from. So that's why you have a mechanic check it. You have them check the lug nuts when you're in there. You have them look at the alignment. There's no indicator light for all 5 lug nuts being on the car. You just trust they're there and you keep them tight. So we're kind of wired like that, and we got to have that responsibility. It's great we're not always in pain. We're not constantly, to do a workout and have blood pressure go up, that just causes us to hurt. That's great that it's not that way. But we don't have a very good idea for how we're handling stress. And that's where the technology that we have today can take a good picture of that, monitor it, but then also see you progress and catch that stuff before it's a problem. Because really what's going on out there is there's a difference between proactive health and reactive health. Predominantly, Western medicine is set up in a reactive capacity. You go in for your physical once a year, once every 6 months, and you react to whatever you had, or I call it early detection. Okay? Going in once a year, I mean, if you find something, it's already there. But you didn't make you any healthier by going in and having your physical once a year. It just caught something, hopefully early enough, at best, right? But proactive health is doing something, exercising, getting your nervous system reset, sleeping well, eating well, all that stuff. That's actually what keeps you healthy. So if we focus more on that and we can tell our neighbors about that and how to do that and how to get your body to work better, we're going to have less of a need for all those, the stats that we don't like, the high medication use, high infant mortality, all of that stuff, okay? So the bottom line, though, is when we look at the balance of the nervous system, we can't have our cake and can't eat it too. You can't be in the stress response and you can't be in the I'm ready to digest a hamburger and turn the hamburger into eyeball tissue, because that's what's about to happen here, right? Whatever you eat, you're going to turn into body cells and it's going to build. And so you literally are what you eat, okay? You are what you eat, and you can only use what you eat as well as your brain's able to. So something to think about there, right? Yeah, exactly, right? So that's where, this message, I'm not trying to make it complicated, but I'm trying to armor up the practice members here, or just give those who are guests enough information to make an educated decision on what you want to do with your health, how you want to take care of yourself. And it doesn't have to be complicated, like explaining the stress response, explaining how your body heals, but just kind of, it's a lot of information. So just kind of recap it is brain runs the body, and it can only do that as well as it's able to communicate with the body. Simple as that. You can only, manage your family, manage your team if you're in a management position at work, as well as you're able to communicate with them and they're able to communicate with you. When lines get crossed, things get miscommunicated, and it's not good. Not good for the health of the family or the organism or the organization, whatever it is. Okay? So when we explain that to our neighbors, that's kind of where I've left it for a lot of my profession. Is like, brain runs the body, and if you have nerve interference, that's bad. People can't relate to that, though. And that's what I realized. People cannot really relate to this thing called nerve interference. And yeah, we all have a brain, but what's nerve interference feel like? I don't really get it. So that's where I've shifted, and I've started to talk more about the stress response. And everybody can relate to that in some, they can relate to the indigestion, maybe the heartburn, maybe I felt the butterflies in my stomach, I felt my chest tight from anxiety, all of that. They can relate to that, and then you can ask them, hey, how well are you coming out of it? Or do you think that your migraines that you can't get rid of have something to do with your stress response? Maybe get that checked out. That's what we can do. We can help balance the stress response so that they can heal better, and then it's really cool. We get to see what happens. Those testimony cards are just some of the stories we've had. It's a pretty broad spectrum of how people have been benefited, but every person there, they're getting the same service. They're getting the same. That's where it's not that complicated. They're getting the same neurological testing, same neurological care. It's what they need at the time, but it's the same technique or application to it. And that's what's so cool, how broad the effects are, because we're working with the central nervous system that controls everything. You improve that, everything improves. And that's where I don't ever want to come off as like snake oil salesman, like, I can help everybody, just bring them here and they can help. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that everybody who has a brain, if there is interference, if we can detect disconnect, I know I can help connect that, and then they'll improve. Now, the question is, do they improve enough to have the goals that they want met and have the symptoms reduced as much as they want, as fast as they want? There's a lot of factors there. That's what everybody's looking for, is the symptoms to be gone and the quality of life to improve. But everybody can be helped. And that is what's encouraging, and that's that message of hope that we want to spread with, neighbor, coworker, whoever it is. That there is hope, there is help. First thing, though, is get checked. and see if the problem's there, because that's not a good thing. We don't want to find nerve interference, but if it's there, we got something we can work on. And then we got something we can put energy towards, and that's good because you got a game plan, you got something to work towards. So that's the mission. That's the mission where we're coming from. There's too many members of our community who are sitting in one of these two camps. They don't know they're stuck in that stress response. Their body is on the fast track to disease, and they don't know what's coming down the road, and they just have no idea. They don't know what's coming. So on that note, I just kind of theorized, like, gosh, I don't know. How many heart attacks, strokes, cancer, whatever, how many have we prevented? And maybe you guys or other people I'm working on, I'll never know. Doesn't really matter. But you're doing something healthy, and your body is preventing disease down the road. I think an athletic trainer could say the same thing, helping people exercise. He's preventing heart attacks. He's preventing strokes down the road. We'll never know. Doesn't really matter, though. They're doing something healthy, and we don't need to question that. Second thing, though, second camp of people are the people who are desperately looking for better options. They don't want the drugs. They don't want the medications. The doctor's saying it's spinal surgery or not, or it's heavy drugs, or just deal with it, and they're stuck, and they want another option. So that's those two camps of people, that kind of summarizes most of the people living around us. Either one, if they're stuck in a stress response and they don't know it, get them checked. That's the solution. And if there's somebody they don't like their prognosis, they don't like where their health is at, same thing, is just try to get them checked. So once again, I try to remove as many of the obstacles as possible. We keep it simple. We've got non-invasive nerve scans that we do that tell me beyond the symptoms whether that person's brain is connected to their body. If we need to, we take a digital x-ray that shows the structure, shows if there's arthritis, degeneration, alignment. The picture's worth 1,000 words, and the x-ray is one that people can really relate to really quickly. So we can do both of those in our office. It's super quick, super easy. And then that last part, we have the research-proven and gentle approach to correct it, right? The cool thing is I don't do any diagnosing or testing which I would find something that I wouldn't be able to help with. So whatever if I do find nerve interference, we can help and we can do something with it. Sometimes when you call too many tests and you get into it and you maybe find a result and you can't help with it, then you're kind of like, well, refer it out, and you head it out. And we will refer. So if we do need to refer, I refer out. But otherwise, if we accept the case, it's one that we're confident we can help with. And then I did have an individual I wanted to share his testimony. He wasn't able to make it tonight. So I'm just going to read it. This individual, his name's Mo. He actually did 2 of these because it was a good 1-2 punch. So the first one. So Mo he was an arborist. So yeah, he climbed the trees way up high, chainsaw, like one of the most dangerous jobs you can do. His back was locking up on him and spazzing on him X amount of feet up. So he retired and got a different job. But when he came to me, he was getting epidural injections, like a pregnant woman would, or a woman in labor, I should say. The needle, like this long a needle, into the spinal cord just to numb it. That's what he was doing every 2-3 months, just because the pain meds wouldn't work, right? So his testimony, and it's on the table somewhere, you can read it. He said, I've been coming here for the past couple weeks now, and from the first day that I came, I started noticing some tightness in my back, and the soreness that I was getting in my back was greatly reducing. The tightness, so he noticed muscles get tighter. Notice that part, right? It wasn't just like what you would think, just everything relaxed. He noticed some muscles turn on and tighten. The tightness I was getting was kind of like a workout type of tightness, like my muscles readjusting themselves, waking up and addressing the problem. And he told me, that was me, so I told him, the first day I came here, but I was yet to be convinced until now. Up till today, it's always been getting better and better up to this point. I used to get epidural injections. In fact, I was about to go in there this coming Monday, but I'm not going to go because the program that I'm getting, knowing that it might set us back. So he was, for one, you're poking a hole in your brain, essentially, to put a drug into the spinal cord and just shut it off, numb it down, right? I've seen infections, I've seen leaks, I've seen that hole not close up. It's nothing you want to mess with if you don't have to. So I just counseled him, and he made his own decision on that. He decided not to, because all that does is just to numb the pain. He got it. And once the injection starts wearing off, which it is, the last one had already worn off, it should be right back and the symptoms start getting worse. But as of now, so he should have been in pain at this point, and he was due for his next one. But as of now, instead of my symptoms getting worse, you look at my body, it's just getting stronger and better, and the symptoms are greatly reducing. So this was a really cool one. That's why I wanted to share that. And then he went back in. So this is the one that says canceled surgery on the top. He went back in because he was consulting a spinal surgeon, because that's the option that they had. They're saying, all right, well, can't just do epidural injections every 2 months the rest of your life. So let's go ahead and do surgery. He said, well, before I came here, I had a chiropractic treatment, and they do get results that tend to revert back to the other situations. So he had previous chiropractic experience. But since I've been here, everything has just been on the upside of positivity. So here he goes in. He says, I have spinal stenosis. That's the condition that was causing this. It just is a spine was eroding and pinching the spinal cord, which my nerve vital brain is being pinched with the MRI. They saw it on the MRI. The doctor says it's really bad. They don't even know how I'm surviving, and I've been prescribed to take epidural injection on my back every 2 months. I've done that for the past 2 years, and just like the other treatments, it reverts back. I don't feel much pain at the starting, and towards the end of the second month, it starts coming back even worse. So that's the situation. Since I started having treatment over here, I stopped the epidural treatment, said that in his first testimony, and then I've been continuously getting better. The symptoms, the frequency of occurrence, and all this stuff is just going down tremendously. I actually feel like my body is feeling just like the doctor told me on the first day I walked in here. I thought it was a joke. I just want to give it a shot because I'm running out of options, but this is real. It really works. Amen. So that was his words. Just a video that we transcribed. The doctor was pretty surprised. He was surprised. He remembered telling me more about it. He was surprised that Mo was even walking because he had seen the MRI and he said, like, you shouldn't be walking. With how much your spinal cord is getting choked off in the bottom of your spine, you shouldn't be walking. And so he's doing well, and he's a construction worker. He's back rebuilding bathrooms and using his body. It's not like we got him good enough to sit at a desk and just like not injure himself. He's doing construction work. So that was just one of the testimonies. One of my favorite ones. He did 2 of them. So that was what I wanted to share with that. And then that's the last thing here. We'll close. Dinner's gonna be coming here in literally a minute. Just think about this for a moment. Whatever you got going on, or whatever maybe your spouse, friend, neighbor has got going on, what would your life look like if you woke up tomorrow and you had perfect health? If the medications were gone, you didn't have that to take, you didn't have that side effect, you didn't have that limp, whatever it may be. Just think about that for a minute. And then how would your life change? So how would your life change? And if you're not pursuing something to get to that point, what's stopping you? So that's a question to ask. The chances are if you've got something that you're not happy with, you didn't know what to do, or you're frustrated with what your options were. So you fell into one of those 2 camps, just like we were talking about before. So that's where, guests, if you or anybody who's not under care here, if that resonated with you, what we talked about, if you want to know more about the scans, if you're just interested in anything here, don't hesitate. We call it a discovery exam. Come in, you go through, it's about an hour, probably less than that. We just discover if what you got going on is something that we can accept. Basically, I'm going to test you for nerve interference. If I find it, we can help you. And then we'll set up some expectations and goals and all of that stuff. If not, then we'll refer you on. But if you've been living in the same world as I've lived in, there's a good chance that you're carrying nerve interference, and there's a very good chance that the nerve interference is an integral part of whatever you got going on. Or if you think things are pretty good, you feel pretty good, I just encourage you. Remember that 3% rule. 3% of your brain controls pain signals. So honestly, you are not a very good gauge for whether you're healthy and fine and thriving, okay? So just know that. That's knowledge is powerful, but it's most powerful when you act on it, and you've got the chance to do that. So if you wanted that, we've got a promotion. We're going to do the same ones we did last time. It's a couple $100 if you want to bill it to insurance. I don't recommend it for the testing and x-rays and all that. So it's $49. It's out of pocket. It's cash. I'm not going to send it in. You can use your HSA. You can use your HSA, but it's $49, x-rays, all the testing on day 1. Day 2, I'm going to report on it, give you all the workup by recommendation. After that, that's it. No hooks and strings and anything like that. You do what you want to do, but I step back and say your health is safer because you know. And that's all I can do for you. But if you want to partner, we'd be happy to partner with you, and that's how we roll. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. I told them 25 minutes, so they should literally be coming in any minute now. I do know last time we ordered like way too many chickens or something, so the rotisserie chicken got a little behind, and they brought them out though, so they'll be coming in any minute. If you have any questions, please come over, interrupt me. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and hope you have a wonderful night. And they do, if you don't, they're rather big meals. A lot of people took food home. Please go ahead and do that. They'll bring out the boxes, and enjoy your time. The rest of the night's yours. Okay.